What up, people? It's your boy Ashraf back again. Haven't done a video since the World Cup. It's been so damn long. I've always been meaning to do like an Arsenal video, especially like since last season, but it just like went a bit crazy and super busy. So thought, you know what, I need to pick this up again. Hopefully, get the channel back up running. Um, I want to do a lot more content, a lot more videos, especially like previewing Arsenal, and not just Arsenal, but we'll do all the teams as well. And yeah, like we're going to be discussing the Arsenal Chelsea game tomorrow, which is obviously the biggest game of the weekend. We're going to be discussing our review of the Arsenal season so far. And maybe a little bit talks about transfers as well, like what kind of transfers we want to see coming in Jan. But yeah, look, let me first introduce my guest and a dear friend of mine, Souls from AFTV, bro.
Thank you for having me on the show, Ashraf. It's nice to make an introduction to the channel. So yeah, thank you for having me.
How you doing, my man? How you doing?
Yeah, man, good. Just living the life at the moment. What can we say? We haven't had these luxuries for a few years, so
Yeah,
it's all
yeah.
smiles when it comes to Arsenal.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. I met Souls in Dubai. It's amazing to know like another Arsenal fan who's as passionate and as loud as I could be. And then I find out that he's Moroccan as well. So I was like, okay, makes sense. A lot of things just click there. Yeah, we usually just headbutt when it comes to Messi Cristiano debates, but outside that, a lot of times we're in sync. So
Yeah.
let's see. Maybe we won't be that much in sync today. But yeah, look, Souls, I just wanted to get your opinion so far on how the season has been going. I think obviously start of the season, a lot of people had us as like favorites to compete with Man City for the title. What do you think? Like, do you think we've started as strong as a lot of people expected us to, or as strong as you expected us to, or do you feel like we've been a bit shaky?
Look, I think it's been a good start. Okay, I have to be honest, to put my hands up. I kind of they've exceeded my expectations for this season already, because I think after last season, I thought it took a lot out of us. We had a freak season in terms of no one expected us to be challenging for the league. I remember prior to the season, last season, people saying we were maybe 5 or 6 transfer windows away from challenging for top 4. And again, a lot of the pundits, I'm not going to name names, but I think they know who they are. And I think, look, we exceeded expectations last season, challenged for the title, and then I thought there'd be that natural kind of drop off of, when you try so hard to get to a target and then you don't get to it, it's kind of that natural decline. So I was a bit worried going into the season. I think some of our signings have been key, but I think overall they've exceeded my expectations. I think first sort of few games we're kind of just 1-0s, a lot of 1-0 results. But I think since then we've really started to sort of kick on. As Arteta has been experimenting new flows, we've sort of just kind of found our groove in that sense.
Yeah, why do you think that shaky start happened? Because I obviously, it's easy to criticize like a team that like drops points at home against Tottenham and Fulham, and obviously like we narrowly beat Nottingham Forest. But if you look at it overall, like I mean, what 8 games, 6 wins, 2 draws? Like you tell me that before the start of the season, I'm like, yo, that's a good place to be in. Obviously, especially when you know that you've beat City there. But I don't know, why do you feel like there was a bit of that shaky start at the beginning? Like, do you feel like it's the lineup, the changes, the signings?
No, so I think when we went into the season, obviously we signed Havertz over the summer. Very tricky player to integrate into a team. Very different kind of abilities. Has to fit a certain system. And originally, when he first joined, I couldn't see as a fan where he'd fit into our previous system that we used last season. And I think it was apparent when he joined that Arteta was kind of experimenting flows, where to play him, where's he going to be. And I think, again, we moved away from that kind of free at the back, tried to push the wing backs forward. And again, we tried to experiment with a style of play that wasn't exactly comfortable in terms of our players getting used to it. And I think Arteta, as the games have gone on, sort of game week 4, game week 5, started to realize that our natural flow that we used last season, our progressive play, our playing out from the back, went back to the same old structure that we know we do best and we know we play the best with. And then I think that's kind of enabled us to go back to our winning ways.
Yeah, no, I agree, bro. Like, obviously it was always going to be like a adjustment time because yes, we were like coming in hot, obviously from last season. I mean, I know it didn't end the way we wanted it to, unfortunately, but obviously our performances throughout the season before, like I think April, we were probably one of the best team in England at the time, just based on like numbers and goals and everything. Um, I agree with you, man. I think the adjustment period probably like had a lot to do with it. For me personally, because I know you mentioned Kai Havertz and the fact that he's a tricky player. I don't know. Like, obviously, I want to know what you think about this. I think that was the wrong signing. Like, I understand what Arteta was trying to do. I think he saw that last season he was playing with Partey, Chaka, and Odegaard, and he's like, okay, Chaka's leaving. How do I upgrade on what he did going forward and defensively? So, okay, I'm gonna get Declan Rice, which was a massive, massive signing, right? And that signing itself for me was like was a game changer, especially when you know that we were competing with City for him,
Oh yeah,
right?
100%, 100%. Yeah.
100%. But then when he got Kai Havertz, I'll tell you this. Initially, I wasn't against the transfer because I thought he's going to play him as he kept talking about like, oh, no one should be safe. I want to rotate. I want to do this. I was like, okay, I think he's going to use him as a squad option for Odegaard, squad option maybe sometimes for Saka on the right, maybe squad option like to play him up front so we can get someone with a bigger stature. And people were saying in the summer, no. We've heard he's going to play him as an 8. We heard he's going to play him as an 8. He's been registered as a midfielder. I was like, guys, there's no chance. And then I see some of the preseason games and I see the first game and I'm like, oh my God, he's playing him as a freaking 8. And look, I think his logic was that, it's mad, bro. And I think his logic was that Kai Havertz as an 8 can maybe do more than Chaka going forward. And if I play Thomas Partey as a right back and he inverts, I still get the Rice Partey kind of combination when I need to. And they do what Chaka does defensively and more, right? I don't know, man. Personally, I just don't. I feel like eventually we have to just bite the bullet and say, hey, it's not working, and just use him as a squad player. What do you think, man?
Yeah, look, I think Arteta hates to be wrong. That's my honest opinion. And when he signs a player, I think he does try and shoehorn certain players in. I know that's highly critical, but it's the truth essentially. And it's normal for any new manager who's testing out his game and his structure. You want to make sure you are signing the best players. Now, I seem to think and understand that Havertz signing was an Arteta signing. He saw him,
Really?
watched him play, and then thought, actually, I think I can fit him in a certain location in the team. Now, the 8 doesn't work, and Arteta has realized that. The 8 doesn't work because he's not mobile enough to be able to function the way we play through the middle. In terms of getting that ball turning, burst of pace through to the left and right, it doesn't work. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, as a fan, because he's an Arsenal player, I'm watching him play and I'm going, actually, you know what? I can see where he fits in a small kind of aspect of he wins balls, he's a good hold-up player. But if I have to be honest at the overall recruitment side of things, you're spending £75 million on a player. You're not going to buy him to be a squad player. That's not going to be the case. Okay.
Yeah.
Arteta wanted him to replace Xhaka and be that number 8. And I think what he started to realize actually is that he's not that sort of player, and he's not going to be mobile enough to be able to play in the middle. I think I saw that before we signed him.
Yeah.
Look, does he have abilities that I think could help us this season? Yes. Can he hold up the ball? Yes. Okay, we saw when he came on against Man City. Again, being able to sort of bully those defenders, hold up. He's tall. He can win headers. He's not very selfish, which is good as well. He has got an eye for a pass. So I do see the vision in terms of where he can fit in the team. Can I see him being a starting player for Arsenal? No. And I don't think that will ever be the case. Because one, he doesn't fit the way we play. And two, even if we did change the structure of how we play to fit his style of play, which we have tried to do during the season, it's just not going to work. Okay. So I do think he's a bad signing. I do think we could have signed better for the quality. Okay. For what we needed, I think we could have signed a lot better. But now we have him and he's an Arsenal player. So we have to support him. Where I think we could see him fit is, I think, bringing him off the bench. Okay. In those games where things are a bit rigged, and you're playing against a team with very rough centre backs, especially when they're overloading as well, having him there to sort of press them back, push them back, kind of win those headers, create those sort of lines of space, pick out those pockets of space. I think he does play a role. But is he doing enough at the moment to, one, justify the price tag, and two, justify what we paid for him? In my opinion, no. No. So I would say that is a failed signing. And again, I wish and I hope to be wrong. I've been wrong before. And Arteta may somehow find a place for him to be in this team, and he may start performing. And if he does, then I'll definitely hold my hand up and say I'm wrong. But for now, what I can see and what I know about Havertz, watching him play for Chelsea and watching him play even prior to Chelsea, back in Germany, he's never actually changed the way he plays. He's always been
Yeah.
that one type of player that has these sort of skill sets. And I think he does play to his strengths. He does try to not do too much and try to do things that he's not good enough for. He does have that IQ. But overall, I just don't think that suits the way we play. Arteta needs to understand the way we play is fast, it's progressive, it's high
Yeah.
press. We need hard workers. That's why we let go of players like Mesut Ozil. That's why we let go of players like it's completely from my
Pepe
Spanish guy.
as well.
Yeah, Pepe. And we've let go of these players because we need players that work hard, that track. Okay, and I think
Yeah.
Havertz is a hard worker, but I just don't think he has the mobility and the agility to be able to play through the middle. The only place I can see him come off the bench and play is in that false nine position,
Yeah.
where he can do things similar to what he did against Man City. I think the eighth idea, playing him in the eight, Xhaka replacement, that needs to be put to bed now. It doesn't work. We know it doesn't
100%.
work. We know it doesn't work.
Yeah, look, I agree with you, man. For me, like as I said, it's I'm not one of these people who say like, oh, if it's not broken, why fix it? I obviously think you always need to grow and develop. Like the best teams in the world make changes while they're at the top. I understand, and we're not even at the top. So I like the fact that Arteta is trying to see, okay, what can I do as plan B? What can I do as plan C? That's good. But your plan B shouldn't be your plan A, because it looks like he's taking Kai Havertz, shoehorning him in. And that looked like our plan A at the start of the season, which was annoying as hell.
Yeah.
And for me, I feel like we have already better options that can play that. Like if you literally take Chalk and you put Declan Rice in that same 8 position, there's no reason why he can't do what Chalk was doing last season. I know he's obviously a physical beast. He wins the balls really well, incredible defensively. But I actually think Declan Rice has qualities on the ball that make him a good 8 as well, right? So if you literally just replace Chalker with Declan Rice, I understand obviously like Chalker, what he did last season, 7 goals, 7 assists, and not just the goals and assists. I think even the runs he makes, the way he just gets in the pass before the pass, fair enough.
Yeah,
But
and I think look,
Kai
and I think
Havertz,
I was going to say
Kai
just that one
Havertz for
point
me,
on.
I feel is just like a bit too slow and stuff. And that goal we scored against United, if you remember, right, when Rashford scored, and obviously like we came back immediately. That goal was pure Arsenal from last season. The quick 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, and I haven't seen Kai Havertz do that enough this season, in my opinion. As you mentioned, I don't think he's just quick enough for our team. I really don't.
Yeah, and I think that link up play, and which is the core is the core base of the way we play. We need players that fit that, right? And look, I
100%.
think to kind of jump onto the topic of Xhaka, I think we didn't think Xhaka could do what he did last season, right? We have to give a lot of credit to Arteta for transitioning that player from being someone that was on the verge of leaving Arsenal, very bad with the fans, committing rash tackles, always been a hard worker, always been passionate, always been aggressive. We loved what Xhaka could do, but he just never did it on a consistent level where we thought actually he was a main midfielder in our team. And last season showed us what Xhaka could do. Now, do I think Declan Rice... Look, I think Declan Rice can definitely do what Xhaka can do in that 8. But I think the role that Arteta's put him in now and the way he's telling Rice to play is that much deeper role, sitting right in front of the centre-backs, receiving that ball and being patient with the ball, because Rice is very press resistant, keeps the ball well, very hard to tackle, doesn't give the ball away very much, very composed.
But do you not think that's because Partey has been injured so far? Do you not think that's the reason?
Look, I think we saw Rice for West Ham, very progressive player, can get the ball, can drive from that CDM position. But I just think Arteta wants him to play that role where he's sitting back, receives the ball. If he can drive forward and he can break those lines, we saw him do it against Man City, do that. But Arteta doesn't really want him going past the halfway line. Okay, and I think I don't think Arteta has brought Rice in to be that 8, because if he did, we wouldn't have signed Havertz. I think he wanted Rice to do what he does best in terms of intercept, keep that ball, make it more compact, protect the centre backs and the full backs that are going to push up forward. And I think what he's starting to realise now is because Partey is injured and Xhaka isn't really working in the 8 position, we don't have that cover for the 8 position. Right, I still think we're lacking in that area in midfield, and Rice is now having to kind of do that role and also try and. I think we saw it against Man City. He got the ball at one point, and we don't have that 8 to push the ball forward. Okay, we have Fabio Vieira, but I think he gets that ball and he's trying to create something. So I think that leads me to the point that I want to make is we need Partey back. We need Partey back, and we also need. We need I think another 8, a proper 8, because we can't rely on Thomas Partey, unfortunately. And we know why. We know his injury record. We know that he's very
Yeah, of
injury prone.
course.
We know his age. But I think, look, and this is going to be very controversial to say, but I do seriously think even after signing Declan Rice and signing Havertz, I still think we do miss Xhaka. We do miss him. I still don't think we've replaced what he could provide us in that 8 position in terms of finding those pockets of space where people couldn't. That aggressiveness of wanting to get into the box and also tracking back into the 8 position. I think if we had a Xhaka with a Rice this season, it will be scary to actually see what we could have done.
Yeah, probably. But for me, look, I agree with you. I think as a 6, he's been incredible, and we've seen him as a 6 for the last few years, obviously, and that's why he's got that recognition, and that's why that price tag was there as well. But when I look at like the biggest games we played this season so far, right? Man City obviously is the biggest game, the one at the Emirates. And if I had to pick 1 second, I would say it was also Man City in the Community Shield. I know it's the Shield. I know it's just a freaking charity cup, but when you look at the lineups that we started, both teams went with their best lineups. And that game and the City game again at the Emirates, the common theme was he started Rice as an 8, right? Even when he didn't have Partey available last game, he could have started Vieira, who had a good run of games. He could have, obviously, I know he wouldn't have started Kai Havertz, obviously, but he could have started Smith Rowe. He actually went with Jorginho because Partey, obviously, he said he thought that he probably wasn't fit to start. He went with Jorginho because he still wanted to make sure that he's playing with a pivot of 2 players, right? And even that first game against Nottingham Forest when Partey was playing as a right back, but he inverted, a lot of times Declan Rice made those runs in, right? And I remember that Declan Rice did mention this season about him having to learn the 8 role, having to learn how to play in that kind of position. And I'm assuming if that's the case, it's because maybe there have been conversations of, hey, maybe you could potentially... Look, I agree with you. I think initially he got Declan Rice to play the 6 and Kai Havertz to play the 8. But I think after seeing the first couple of games and obviously the backlash from the fans and the manager probably himself seeing it in games that it's not working, I think he probably would consider having that option of playing Partey as the 6 and Declan Rice as the 8. And if Xhaka could do what he did last season after because let's be honest, how long was he with us? Like for 6-7 years? I think I can safely say the first 5 years were above average at best, right? Like if I think of his best season, I'm like, okay, it was above average.
I'd probably say over the 5-6 years, I definitely wouldn't say above average. I think he had a lot of poor seasons for Arsenal.
Yeah, 100%. I'm just being kind to him. Yeah.
But I think he changed when Arteta came in, saw some of his strengths offensively, and saw some of his offensive ability in terms of positioning.
Exactly.
In terms of, I thought, this is where we can kind of use him. But to respond to that point, I think definitely...
So you don't think he could do the same with Rice? You don't think he could do the same with Rice that he did with Xhaka?
I just think that Xhaka was moved into that position because of his inabilities in that 6 role. He was good in that 6 role, but he wasn't Declan Rice.
But he was too erratic.
Yeah. And I think trying to kind of force a player like Declan Rice, who's in my eyes a generational 6, and trying to kind of mix him into an 8 and trying to get him to do more offensive things, I think we need to let Rice be Rice. Rice is known for West Ham. We've known Rice to be a very, very good 6, and we saw it against Man City as well. I haven't seen us sign a 6 that can do what he did against Man City, for example. Having that kind of tracking back, winning the ball, again, very crisp intercepting, right? And we haven't seen that with a lot of our players. Even Partey and Xhaka, who were actually quite good defensively, were a bit rash, were a bit kind of spider tackling, committing fouls in the edge of the box. I rarely see a Rice giving away a foul, even when he dives in for a tackle, because he's so good at receiving that ball and taking it. So I disagree that I think his plan is to put Partey in the 6. I think Partey will have to always come in as an 8. And in my opinion, Partey is still better offensively than Rice is. So I would always want Partey in that 8, relieve some of those 6 responsibilities, give it to Rice that can control that area, and allow Partey to kind of be more free roam, receive that ball. And the reason why Partey is so integral to the way Arteta plays is because the way we like to receive the ball in midfield, especially from Raya, from Zinchenko, even from Saliba and Gabriel, we need that 8 that can get the ball, turn, burst of pace, and release forward. And what I like about Thomas Partey the most out of any of our midfielders is that he's so forward thinking. I very rarely see him get the ball and go, okay, let me play it safe. He's willing to take that risk, turn on the ball, has the strength. We saw
And
it against,
extremely press resistant as well.
and look, we've seen him against top midfielders. We saw him against Pogba, and he's dominated him a few games when he against Man United. I think he really does have everything necessary possible to be a good 8. Has the strength, has the progressive passing, has the long range passing, has the ability to break through, has that pace in terms of that acceleration. The only thing is, can he stay fit? Can we keep Partey? Can he play 25, 30 games a season in the league? If he can, and we have that Rice 6, Partey 8 with Odegaard, I don't see a weakness in that midfield.
Yeah, I agree with you. By the way, I think with your mic, I think because when it moves, it does that sound. So you just have to be careful, because I had that same issue in the past, like with the mic, with just when it moves, it does that. But look,
sorry guys, I'm still using a cheap mic because it's going to be updated soon.
Bro, it's all good. It's all good, man. Look, I agree with you. Look, but you did mention something I want to, which I guess is a good segue to the next topic of transfers. That we haven't really replaced Xhaka properly. So would you say that's a position of priority for us in January?
I think yes. I think if we're looking at one area we have to sign a player in, it's that 8 position. Only because I don't think Arteta trusts any of the Arsenal midfielders to play that role consistently on a consistent basis.
Yeah.
Fabio Vieira comes in, plays good, maybe loses a bit of strength in midfield. He hasn't got the necessary abilities to kind of dominate that 8 position. He's very good on the ball. Again, in my opinion, off the bench player. Okay.
Yeah.
Smith Rowe, again, hasn't really established himself since that injury, has had some injury issues. Even when he's tried to kind of fit him in on the right onto the left, even trying to fit him in that 8 position, it hasn't really worked out. And in my eyes now, because of the Havertz signing, Arteta needs to really kind of sit himself down in this next window and go, you know what it is? It hasn't worked. The Havertz project isn't working at the moment. We need something to make sure, especially if come Christmas time, we're still top of the league and we are fighting for that title. We need cover.
Yeah.
We cannot afford to be switching 8s every game. We cannot afford to be, because again, we can't rely on Thomas Partey. We can't. We saw he went on the international break for Ghana, came off at halftime with a stiff calf. So we need to understand that we need a player that can play every game in the 8 position, someone that can do that job, someone that can break those lines. And that to me would be the priority signing. Okay. Maybe not a 50, 60, 80, 70 million pound signing, but even someone that he's trusted that can fit that position, maybe a gem, who knows? There may be players out there. And I think, look, I'm not a scout. Yeah. I think Arteta has top level scouts working. So they'll obviously be looking at someone. Okay. But in terms of if you told me one position you wanted to sign in that January transfer window, I'd say 8 or a backup right winger.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I'm glad you didn't mention striker. I'm going to get to the striker bit in a bit, but I agree with you, because when I look at our midfielders, man, like as you've mentioned, Fabio Vieira, we lose physicality. Plus, I just don't see him as an 8. I think he could do well as a 10 because he's a good passer. He can take shots. He links up well. And I think there's less risk of him losing the ball there as well. Smith Rowe, I know people are saying, oh, they want to see him in the 8, but the fact is there's no evidence of it, right? Like his best season for us 2 seasons ago was him playing either on the left or as a 10. Right, rotating with Odegaard.
Yeah,
he's not played as an 8 in a proper, like in the Premier League. From what I've seen, for me to say that he can do the job there. Kai Havertz, we've already discussed him. So yeah, for me, it is annoying that we don't have a single proper number 8, and I mean like a Frankie De Jong kind of 8, even a Bellingham. I know he's playing. Like a Gundogan, exactly. We don't have a typical 8 who can do both sides of the pitch, right? Like who's the box to box, can go up front, create chances, get into the box and score, but can also do the defensive work and the running and the hustling and all that. Yeah. So for me, that's a priority. I agree. Like I don't know who he's gonna get. If we're getting someone in Jan, now Jan windows are always tricky, right? Because a lot of times you're getting in to look and salvage your current season. But sometimes you have to also think about the long term, right? So if we end up finding someone that can fit us for this season and help us, but also be good for the next 5, 6, 7 years, incredible. If not, I have no issue of us getting someone a bit older, like 30, 31, with experience, but can do that 8 role really well. Who's primary an 8, not a 6 who's gonna play as an 8 or a 10 who's gonna play as an 8. The right winger thing, man, it's crazy that we had to have an injury to our star boy for him to not have 88 games in a row. which is mental.
Yeah.
The
Look,
fact
I
that this
think, yeah.
the fact that this guy is 21, 22 and has played 87. Look, by the way, I think if you're a top player and the best player in the team, you have to be able to play those many games. Fair enough. But the thing is, this guy, it's not just the fact that he plays 87 games in a row. It's the fact that he doesn't even get subbed, right? There are, I think, games I remember last season when he was poor and he was still playing on the pitch till the very end. So that, right? And this is where I'm going to say something and you probably will laugh, but I'm going to say it anyways. As much as I understand that he's not been great for us last 3-4 years, I would have kept Pepe as a backup for Saka, right? Not even, I know he wouldn't work against the cities and all, but just to have an option to bench Saka sometime, give him a rest a little bit, and play Pepe. I think that would have
100.
worked.
Yeah, that's not a bad shout. I think I was actually on the side of keeping Pepe as well. I think, look, you want to release him, he doesn't fit the style. Look, I think it's easy for us fans to say that because we've seen what he can do. But again, it's deeper than just can he play in that position. It's the overall, can he fit the style of play? Can he work hard? Can he run for 70 minutes? Can he track back? Can he do a lot of, because the type of right winger Arteta wants, and even left winger, we've seen Martinelli, we've seen Saka. The way they play, it's hard to fit those standards because they're not just traditional right wingers. They track back, they defend. You see Martinelli playing left back at certain times. You even see him switch sometimes. So I think in terms of what Arteta wants in a right winger, I understand why he left Pepe, especially because he kept Reece Nelson, gave him a new contract. Look, the situation with Saka's weird, okay, because there's two sides to the argument. Is he playing too much? Yes. I think every person who watches football, understands football, will know that Saka is being overworked, okay? Now, Arteta has addressed this a few times in interviews, and people have asked him, why are you playing him every game? Why is he not receiving any rest? And he said his ideology as a manager is if a player is young and he's fit, him playing every game does more good for him than bad in terms of having that high stamina, high fitness. I actually agree that when players play a lot, they develop that stamina and they develop that kind of experience to keep going. And that's why he hasn't missed a game in 3 years, right? But we have to also understand that rest is key, right? It's biology, it's science, it's sports science, right? Players need recovery, players need rest. And when a player's playing every single game, now look, last season, we had no competitions, we had no Europe, we had no Champions League, I understand. But now, we have Champions League games, we have FA Cup, we have the League Cup. And Arteta now, it seems like he's changed from last season. He's actually taken other competitions seriously now. He's actually playing 4 teams in these competitions, which shows that he really wants to go for everything this season. I think we need to kind of, I think, look, I'm going to change my thought process here. I said earlier that our most important signing in January, if we were to sign one, is that 8. But I do think actually we need a backup right winger. I think it's a really urgent point for us because Arteta does not trust Reece Nelson to start games. He doesn't trust him. We've seen that now. Can he come off the bench in the last 15, 20? Yes. But he doesn't have the impact of a right winger that can start a game. And because we play with a different sort of front three, we don't have that traditional target striker that we are allowed to score our goals, that Lukaku, Kane, Osimhen type striker. We rely on our wingers to score a lot of our goals. So we need a winger that kind of plays in that inverted role, that can actually take that ball, cut in and score, right? Yeah. So I think we need a backup right winger. And I think who we go for is difficult, right? Because any right winger that comes in has to know that a lot of the time he's not going to be playing.
You're going to be on the bench, exactly.
Yeah. Because Saka's injury record's good. Even when he's come off with a calf, he's recovered in a week. I don't know how he's done it.
Exactly.
He's playing with it. Do you understand? So I think
boy.
Yeah, look, Saka's a specimen of a player. I'm not gonna go into the debates and the arguments. We'll save that for another stream. But everyone knows my thoughts on Saka. Best right winger in the league. I hear the Salah shouts, but I think at the moment, from what he's done on form, in my opinion, he is the best right winger in the Premier League. But and I think overall, if you're talking about best player in terms of achievements, obviously Salah beats everyone. But right now, I just don't think there's a player like him. England international, does it for England, does it for club and country. Again, man of the match in the England man of the match in terms of the best player for England in that semi-final in the World Cup. Look, what more quarterfinals? What more do we have to say? Yeah, about Saka. I think he's my favorite player. I love him. Everyone knows my thoughts on Saka. But yeah,
Yeah.
definitely backup right wing is very important.
Look, I definitely rate him. I think he's definitely one of the best players in the league, and the right winger thing debate is obviously going to be. We'll have that another stream. I obviously do rate Salah highly. I think he's one of the best players in the league over the last 4 or 5 years, and he's obviously is a Premier League great. I do think Saka can overtake him in the long run, but as long as he's able to stay fit and work hard. But yeah, look. The striker thing that I mentioned, I mean, I want to like end this on the striker thing, and then we can preview the Arsenal Chelsea game. Obviously,
Yeah.
a lot of people are calling for us to get like a striker, especially Ivan Toney, because he's available. Apparently, he's expressed interest to join Arsenal. Some other debates saying, "Oh, there's unrest at Napoli with Osimhen. Let's try and put a bit there." Look, I'm gonna give you my opinion, and then I'm gonna ask you for what do you think. Personally, the striker thing is not a priority for me. I'm not saying if we can get a striker for a good price, we shouldn't do it 100%, right? I'm never going to say no. Right now, we have two amazing center backs. If you tell me, should we get another world-class center back and he's available, he wants to join us, I'm not going to say no to that, right? But it's not a priority. So when I look at the striker thing, last season, we scored the most goals ever in our Premier League history, right?
Yeah.
So as much disrespect as Jesus gets, I think he had a lot to do with that, right? Yes, I know he only scored 11 goals and had like 6 assists, but I think without Jesus, Saka doesn't get 14 goals, Martinelli doesn't get 15 goals. Because what he does for us, and I said this before in Spaces, and some Liverpool fans got triggered, and I have to explain myself. I think what Jesus does for us is what Firmino did for Liverpool when they were challenging for the league and obviously won the Champions League and stuff. Firmino wasn't the kind
I think that's a bit extreme, but yeah.
No, it's not, bro. Honestly, so first of all,
No, it is. No. Hold on, guys. No, Ashraf, please. Like, let's.
I'll explain to you why.
Let
me land. I'll explain to you why.
They don't have the same. They don't have the same qualities. Firmino is a very different false nine. Firmino is a traditional false nine. Sits deep, receives that ball, slots the players through. Jesus does not do that. Jesus drifts.
No, that's not, bro. He does drop.
Look at his heat maps, Ashraf. He drifts wide.
Yeah. I agree. He does
drift wide. The wingers. You can't compare him to Firmino.
The reason I'm comparing them, Souls, is because I think the function he gives our wingers and the ability he lets them, the freedom he gives them to make those runs from the inverted runs from the wings, it's similar to what Firmino did. Yes, a lot of times he would switch to the wing and let Martinelli go, but I've seen him many times come into the middle, where Odegaard is or where like Xhaka would be, get the ball, get past 1 or 2 players and actually build. That Bournemouth goal was... That if you remember that Bournemouth game when we won 3-0, got the ball, dribbled past 1 and 2 and set up the goal for us. Like, obviously, in terms of quality, it's different. Saka is not nowhere, I don't want to say nowhere. He's not as good as Salah from those 3-4 years ago when Salah was just killing it. Martinelli is not yet at the level of Mane when Mane hit like 22 goals and was unplayable. But can these two get there? 100%. They're 21, 22, right? They're so young.
Yeah.
And that's why, and Jesus is 26. So it's not like Jesus is 25 or 26. So it's not like he's old either.
Yeah.
I just feel that front three can replicate what Liverpool did. Now, obviously, we still need the overall squad and experience and all that stuff, which is why for me, striker is not a main priority. And with Toney, while I'm not going to say no to Toney, obviously, if we get him for a good price, I wouldn't pay 80 million for him. I think that's mental, especially for someone who hasn't played for like 6 months. But of course, if we can get him, I'm done with Nketiah. So any good striker we get who's an upgrade on Nketiah, I'll 100% take him. Right? I have no issues there.
Yeah.
I just don't think it should be the priority for us. This I don't think we should break the bank this Jan just to get a striker for the sake of it. Now, with me saying this, I will just say this last piece. I will make an exception if someone like Osimhen is available. So if the Napoli thing doesn't work out, because obviously, like, you know, the video that was released and stuff, if let's say Osimhen comes in Jan and says, yo, I'm not staying here, find me a club, and he's okay with joining us, I would break the bank for him. Because this guy would terrify defenses. I wouldn't break the bank for Toney, in my opinion.
Yeah. Look, I think this is my piece on things, right, around the striker topic. And I agree with some of the things you said. Look, Arsenal fans can do this sometimes. They even when we were 8th, we were still going for the biggest targets, the best players in the world, and thinking that we can sign them, right? Look, I think no one signs long-term targets in January. They have been done before. We've seen Bruno, we've seen Van Dijk. It can happen. But a lot of the time, January signings are for what are we missing to get to that kind of final step in the season, right? Usually it's not. Usually players aren't comfortable setting out and without a preseason, without anything, and moving to a big club in January. So I think us signing a long-term striker like Osimhen in January, I think is never going to happen. Even if he was available. Now, look, these are my honest thoughts on Jesus. Okay, there's two different types of forward players. I'm not going to say striker because, in my opinion, I don't see Jesus as a striker. Okay, but in terms of a forward line player, there's two different types. There's players out there that require service to be able to do their jobs best. Players like, for example, Haaland. Yeah, these sort of players need service. We saw I still can't pronounce his name, the Napoli left winger.
Yeah, Kvaratskhelia.
Yeah. We saw the kind of service he was giving Osimhen. We've seen it with Haaland. We've seen it with a lot of these players. For example, Tony, another player who, again, requires service. And then you have players that have the ability to create chances themselves. They don't require service. They actually can come back, receive that ball, drive at players and make things happen. We saw it last season many, many times. And Jesus is definitely one of those players. Why I love Jesus is because when you need a goal and when you need something to happen, he's not going to be a last man on the line waiting for a ball to come in for him. He's not that sort of player.
He'll come down, call for the ball, and
he'll demand that ball and try and do something. And I think that's Jesus' biggest strength. That's why I would always say I want him to start over Nketiah because of that.
100%.
That reason only. Now, my problem with Jesus is one, his positioning. I just feel like sometimes he drifts a lot because he's naturally he's naturally a left-sided player that likes to get the ball and run at players from the left, right? So sometimes he plays in that striker point and then drifts. Okay, Martinelli's been injured. We understand why it's been happening recently a lot as well. But even last season, I saw it. He would drift a lot. He'd sit deep a lot. He'd drift a lot. I saw his heat map. He's more of a free roam forward. Okay, and that can be disruptive sometimes when we're trying to play a system where we have two wingers that are trying to run through, okay, and try and score goals. Now, do I think he's a big reason why Saka and Martinelli got the goals they got last season? In my opinion, no. I disagree with that comment, right? Me personally, because I feel like the way we play and the way Arsenal have played, especially in the last 12 months last season, that Saka and Martinelli do like to play through the wings, get inverted, receive that ball, and create their own chances. We saw the goal against Man United, we saw the goal against Bournemouth, the goal against Everton. I think what was integral to Martinelli and Saka getting the goals they got was Odegaard and the midfield playing through the middle to release those wingers through. Okay? Now, that's problem number one I have with Jesus, his positioning. Second problem is his finishing. Okay? Yeah. I think being clinical as a forward is such an important trait that people underestimate a lot of the time. And I keep saying this to a lot of Arsenal fans. If Jesus is getting 5 chances and he's scoring 1, or he needs 6 or 7 to score 1, if his conversion rate is not high, which we know with Jesus it's not, that's going to start becoming a problem. Because it's all good getting the ball and creating those chances, unless you're going to be a Firmino type player, which he's not at the moment. We have to be clear with this. He's not a Firmino type player where he doesn't need to take as many shots. He doesn't need to create as many chances because he releases those wingers, right? Right now, he's hindering us in terms of finishing. Like, a lot of the time when I'm watching Jesus, the only memory I have of him is screaming at my TV. Why? Like, what? How have you not finished that? Even against Man City, 2 or 3 chances, right? I think his final end product, he sometimes doesn't know when to pass and when to shoot. There was a few times in that Man City game, through the right, he'd get the ball amazingly well to get through 2 defenders. Rice is shouting for it in the middle. From a tight angle, he'll move it. He's missed one-on-ones. He'd missed through balls. He'd missed chances to pass. His end product and his IQ when it comes to scoring the goals, which is the most important part of football, I think he lacks. And I think, can Tony fill the void of those 2 things that I think Jesus lacks? 1 is finishing and 2 is positioning. Yes, that is Tony to a T. His best attributes is being in the right place at the right time and putting the ball in the back of the net. He's a better finisher and he's a better standalone striker in terms of pushing those defenders back, being a bully, receiving those balls. Now, where the Tony argument comes in is, if Tony comes in, that will change the way Saka and Martinelli play. We have to understand that, right? Because they're not going to... Tony's going to demand the ball. Tony's going to demand those crosses. When Saka's cutting through on the right, it's not going to be a pass to Odegaard, try and slip it through. Put the ball in the box, right? And if Arteta does go for Tony, Arteta needs to have a plan of action of, is that going to fit the system? I don't want it to be another panic signing. Oh, he's a big name player. He's available. He's free. Let's sign him, right? So it's a tricky situation. Look, the fundamental point that you made, Ashraf, is a striker a priority in January? No. Do we have enough at the moment in that forward position to win the league? Yes. Can Jesus do a job? Is he a Premier League winning striker? Yes. Right?
Yeah.
But can he be upgraded based on the system Arteta wants to play? Again, yes. Right? If Osimhen is available in the summer,
probably.
if
100%.
We should definitely upgrade, right? But we have much bigger. I think what's the saying? We have bigger fish to fry, right?
Bigger gaps to fill.
Yeah, the right hand side, the left back position. There's places we need to improve first. But me personally, I'm a big fan of Tony. I've always loved Tony. I've loved the way he plays. Target man, can put the ball in the back of the net, bullies defenders. And look, I think, who wouldn't want to have Jesus and Tony interchanging based on the way we play, based on the opposition? If we're playing an opposition with, for example, like a Liverpool with Konate, Matip and Van Dijk at the back, we need a Tony type player to press them back, bully them. You know what I mean? Someone that can stand up to those sort of players. Again, but if you're playing a team like Man City, for example, you need that trickery. You need that kind of releasing the ball, slotting players through, creating something, those creative players. I think it's a good problem to have. I would never say no to Tony. Is he going to be a January signing? No. It's never going to happen. Right?
Yeah, you never know. We'll see. Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. Hopefully, let's see. I mean, I guess it depends. As I said, I would never... If we sign Tony in January, of course, I'll celebrate it because it gives us more options. It makes the squad stronger. And I'm assuming if we sign Tony in Jan or any striker in Jan, it could mean the end for Nketiah. And for me, that's good news. But look,
I think you're being very harsh on Nketiah, Ashraf, man.
I'm not. No, I'm not. You just spoke about the conversion chances. His conversion chances are absolutely pathetic. Not to mention,
I think if you give, hold on. If you give 5 chances to Jesus and 5 to Nketiah, and Nketiah scores more.
I guarantee you that's not true. I guarantee you that's not true. Nketiah, unlike Jesus, one second. Unlike Jesus, Nketiah actually gets into the box a lot more because he tries to get in the end of crosses and stuff, and he still misses them. The one thing I'll say Nketiah does well is when he gets onto his headers, he's able to direct them better than Jesus. Yeah. But in terms of finishing, we've seen it against Crystal Palace. He had 2 good chances in the first half and missed both, right? One-on-ones. So I've seen him, and I'm telling you, his conversion rate is horrible.
We've seen that with Jesus as well, a lot.
Yeah, I agree, but I still see a lot more from Jesus that covers it up. Like I see is the way he dribbles past players, the way he creates space, the way he sets up passes and stuff. Nketiah doesn't have that. But look, we'll obviously do a show to talk about transfers come closer to Jan. But I want to just move on to the final topic, which is the big game, obviously tomorrow, Arsenal-Chelsea. Tomorrow we go back to our training ground again that we won there for the last 3 days. I know I shouldn't be saying this because I feel like I'm gonna jinx it, but look, obviously it's not. Look, jokes aside, it's not gonna be that easy of a game. I've seen a lot of Arsenal fans on Twitter predict like 4-0, 3-0, 5-0. I'm like, guys, first of all, we're not a team that thrashes top 6 teams like that, right? At home, sometimes we have these results a little bit, like the 4-1 against Liverpool, 3-0 Chelsea, 3-0 United. Away from home, we don't have that. Even if we score first, we're going to just try to control the game. We're going to try to move the ball around. We're going to try to be a lot more cautious because that's just how we've been playing under not only Arteta, even with Wenger before that. However, with that being said, again, at the risk of sounding arrogant and this coming back to bite me in the ass, but I think when you look at the 2 teams, the only way Chelsea get anything out of this game, in my opinion, is if we play like shit. Because I think if both Arsenal and Chelsea play their best, I don't see any way Chelsea could get anything out of this game because I just feel the difference in quality of our starting 11s. Actually, not only our starting 11s, even probably our squad depth overall. But we'll just stick to the starting 11 for now. I think the difference in quality between our starting 11s is so big, in my opinion. Right? And I'm not saying this because they're 11th. I know like their position, or I don't know where they are right now, 12th or 13th. I know their position is
in our favor, you mean?
Yeah, in our favor, 100%.
In our favor. Okay.
I know that their position is a false position. Obviously, they're a lot better than where they currently are. But I still think that the gap in quality is a lot is huge compared between us, right? So I feel if both teams play to their best tomorrow, we definitely win this game. The only way Chelsea get anything out of this game, a draw or a win, is if we play like absolute shit, which is not impossible, but just going by the away results this season and going by our performance so far in the league, I don't know. I don't see that happening. Now, here's the one concern I have, because I just read this on like 2 hours ago or 1.5 hours ago. Saka, Saliba, and Trossard haven't trained. Obviously, Arteta in his press conference today said that they're going to assess them late. Saliba with that toe injury. I thought it was a ruse at the beginning.
I think that might be. I think that might be just a little bit of mind games from Arteta.
Maybe, but they were not there in training.
The smile, but the smile in the press conference was very telling.
Yeah. True as well, but like the fact that they were not there in training for me is a bit concerned. Like Saliba, I'm not that concerned about, but like Saka, because he missed the last game, I'm like he was, and Arteta said he's pushing himself in to get back to fitness. So I thought he's going to be there in training, but apparently, so now the pictures didn't have him. Now if he was there and they just didn't capture it, I don't know. If I want you to tell me what you think is going to happen tomorrow based on your predictions, and give me scenarios whether these guys are available or not.
Yeah, look, I think just to give my sort of preview on the game, I think the Opta scores and the predictions have been a lot closer than I thought they would be. I think people are predicting. I think I saw a stat today. People are giving a 34% chance, a 34% win rate for Chelsea, and a 36% chance for us. So I think people think it's a much closer game. And look, I think with Chelsea, I'll touch on them quickly. A big difference between Chelsea and Man United this season is that Chelsea are creating chances. Chelsea are playing good football. Chelsea are just struggling in that kind of final stage, which is putting the ball in the back of the net. And we've seen previously, teams that can create chances can only get better. There will come a time they'll start to score. And they have the ability. They have Sterling, they have Mudryk, they have players that can put the ball in the back of the net. We know this, right? So I think Chelsea have started to progress. In my opinion, we're playing them at a bad time because we're playing them on the back of 2 wins, and their momentum seems to have come back. They're playing a lot better. They're flowing now. Their football's always been good since the start of the season. Poch is doing an amazing job in terms of playing that kind of fluid passing, in terms of creating chances. Do I see us losing? No. I'm still predicting an Arsenal win. I think historically we've done very well against Chelsea. The starting 11's worrying me a little bit, especially if Saliba and Saka are out. I'm more worried about Saliba than Saka, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Because I just have nightmares. I had nightmares from that Saliba injury last season. I just know what it did to us, and I know that we're going to struggle. We're going to struggle without Saliba, because I don't think you understand how important he is for the Arsenal team, for that starting 11. Kiwior, I know we have Tomiyasu can play there. We have Ben White, and we can switch. But I just think no one does it how Saliba does it, and I think my prediction is going to come down to, is Saliba going to play or not? That's my prediction. But look, I think it's going to be a tough game. I expect Arsenal to win. We have the quality to win, even without Saka and Saliba. Do I think our starting 11s are similar? Yes. I don't believe our one is greatly superior, if I'm honest. I actually think Chelsea on paper have a better starting 11, in my opinion.
Come on.
No. Not when everyone's fit, right? If Saka is out, Partey is out, Saliba is out.
No, Partey trained today. He's there.
Yeah, but again, he's not 100%. He's not match fit. I don't think he's 90 minutes. I know he came off against in the internationals with a stiff calf.
USA. Yeah.
Can he put 40 minutes in? Yes, but when I'm looking at Chelsea, I see an amazing team. Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez, Nicholas Jackson, Mudryk now. He's been tearing up in the international break. Scored.
Okay, then on that, let me ask you this question then. Fully fit, both squads, Arsenal, Chelsea. How many Chelsea players get into a combined 11?
See, look, that's a loaded question, and I'll tell you why.
No, not really. Why?
No. I'll tell you why. Because I think we should say, okay, how many players? Look, I don't look at how many players can get into our team. I say how many players are on the same level as the players that we have in those positions. That's how we compete. We don't compete on replacements, because none of them are replacements, right? Can Enzo? Would I take Enzo and Caicedo, right, with Havertz and with Partey and Rice? Yes. Yes, there's
Come
not
on,
that.
no,
No,
you
no, no,
wouldn't.
no, 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 not over them.
That
No, no,
makes
not
no
over them. No, no, no,
sense.
not over them. But they can both do the job that Rice and Partey can do. Well, let's not lie
No, they
here.
cannot. Nobody can
They
do the job that
can.
Rice.
They
Look,
can.
Caicedo and Partey, I agree with you because I think Caicedo off the ball can do what Partey
And
does.
yeah.
Maybe even slightly better because as a tackler he's amazing.
No, no,
On the
no.
ball, he
No. I'd say Caicedo and Rice, and then I'd say Enzo and Partey. That's how I would do
no,
it.
why? No, because for us, when both are available, Partey plays as 6. I know you should. I know you said Partey should play as the
Oh,
8, but I'm
okay,
saying what
yeah. I'm
Arteta plays
okay,
Partey
yeah,
as the 6. So I
yeah.
understand the Caicedo thing, even though I rate Partey ahead of him because I think on the ball, Partey is so much more superior, and that's important also as a 6. But okay, fair enough. Let me entertain the Caicedo thing, even though he only had one good season. But let me entertain that. The Rice Enzo, in my opinion, the gulf is huge, right? Because while
I don't think it is. I don't think that is. No way.
okay, fine. Actually, it's not huge. That's just an
Yeah.
exaggeration. Obviously, they're all like top players, but I think there is a clear difference because I think Declan Rice, in my opinion, can do what Enzo does on the ball, but Enzo cannot do what Declan Rice does off the ball.
I think
Off the
Enzo
ball,
is
I don't think Enzo.
no. I think Enzo can't really do what Rice can do in that 6 in terms of winning that ball, intercepting, controlling that DM position. But I don't think Rice can do what Enzo can do on the ball. I completely disagree with that.
I think he can, man.
In terms of a player receiving that ball, right, pinging those passes through, driving forward, and not just driving and running back in terms of controlling that kind of forward thinking midfielder. Enzo is superior on the ball in my opinion, offensively. But because of the gulf in the 6th position, in that defensive position, it's going to be a lot harder, right? But anyway, to go back to the point, I'd say in terms of players that I think can compete with our starting 11 at Chelsea, I'd say Caicedo, I'd say Enzo, I'd say Chilwell fully fit, I'd say Reece James fully fit, I'd say I'd say
Souls, you're ducking the question. If you had to do a combined 11, and I'll explain to you why
no.
I'm asking this
See, but
question.
I don't.
No,
But I don't know. But I
you know
don't
what?
know. Hold on.
Fine. I'll give you an explanation
But Ashraf,
before
I
you
don't
answer.
like
So
combined
no.
11s. I don't like
No,
combined
I'll
11 because
okay. I'll give it explanation and justification before you can answer. Right?
Okay.
Of course, even if Arsenal have 11 players in the combined 11 over Chelsea, that doesn't mean we could beat them on the day, right? Obviously, because the way the game flows is different. Otherwise, no lower team would ever beat a top team in the Premier League, right? So the reason I'm asking the question is because I'm trying to show that there is a big difference in terms of the starting 11 for us and the starting 11 of Chelsea. And we are that much more superior that for them to beat us, they have to have a masterclass that day. They cannot beat us just by their players performing better than our players, unless our players play like shit. For me, I'll tell you what my opinion is since you're hesitating, and then you can give me yours. I think fully fit, only Reece James gets into a combined 11 between Arsenal and Chelsea, right? Because
Yeah,
I
okay,
rate
but
Reece James as
yeah.
one of the best right backs.
No, but hold on, but no, but see, this is what I'm saying, Ashraf. Look, I don't like combined 11s, and I'll tell you why. Because combined 11s are very difficult. The reason why they're difficult is because, like, the way I like to compete in terms of our teams, do we have similar level quality teams when going against each other in terms of this Arsenal Chelsea preview? The way I would see it and I look at it is, where
I
do
don't
we
think we do.
No. In what positions do we excel in? In what positions is one player way better than the other? And in my opinion, in that kind of midfield role, I feel like Caicedo and Enzo are adequate replacements to Rice.
Or I could look at competition to Rice and Partey.
Yes, adequate competition in terms of okay. I wouldn't change them to Rice and Partey.
I get you.
But they can do the job, right? In terms of similar quality, right? And then you have to go to and then you have to go to where I think we excel, right? If you asked me what player would you take from Chelsea, it would only be Reece James and Mudryk. Those are the only two I'd take, right?
Mudryk.
I'll take Mudryk. I think that we'll leave that for another stream. But I think I have strong opinions of Mudryk. But in terms of where we excel on the wings, right? In terms of Martinelli and Saka are better than their wingers, right? We have Jesus fully fit. In my opinion, we excel there.
Better than Jackson for sure.
We excel with the two centre backs. I have a very unpopular opinion about Thiago Silva, which I'll go through on another stream. But I think we excel in the centre backs. We excel at the moment. That's sort of it in my opinion, and in goal. and in goal. I think both of our keepers are better than Robert Sanchez, in my opinion. So I think, look, do we have better quality players at the moment? Yes. We have better wingers, we have a better striker, we have two better centre backs, and a better keeper. That alone should tell us that we should win this game, right? Where they're going to hurt us a bit, in my opinion, is Sterling. Very tricky, very nibbly. We've seen him give Gabriel issues in the past, and Gabriel has got that in him to make a rash tackle. He's been flawless this season, but we have to be aware of that. Mudryk and Sterling are going to run at our players, going to run at our defenders, right? And we've seen how our wingers like to push forward and our fullbacks like to push forward. We have to be aware of that counter, because if Enzo pops one of those passes through to Sterling, and he's running at Gabriel, okay, and Zinchenko is nowhere to be seen. And Zinchenko nowhere to be seen because he's playing CDM, left mid, left back, left forward. We have to be aware of that. And it'll be interesting to see how Arteta is going to counter that. Arteta does plan differently for every opponent. But listen, man, it's an exciting game. It's going to be a tough game, man. I don't think it's going to be a walk in the park. I think it has been recently when we played Chelsea, but this is a very different Chelsea. It's a very progressive Chelsea. It's not the Jorginho Chelsea that was keeping the ball, trying to play out from the back. This is Chelsea that uses those pacey wingers. They have faster wingers. We have to be aware of that. Mudryk and Sterling.
And one guy who's not been getting enough credit this season by Chelsea fans, surprisingly, is Gallagher. I think Gallagher has been having a very good season. Yeah, I know like the results have not been in their favor and stuff. I've watched, I think, 4 or 5 games of theirs this season, and every single game. The thing is, the things they criticize him for, I feel like he's doing well. Like keeping the ball, turning well, like moving forward with the ball, giving those passes to the flanks. Yeah, he's been having in my opinion, he's been having a decent season. So I think he could also
Gallagher's very good. Yeah, I've always liked Gallagher. Look, it's going to be a good game. I'm excited. I'm never excited for Arsenal games. It's always like an anxiety session for me.
Nerve-wracking, it's always scary.
I'm happier when the game's over and I can relax and watch the other games of football. Luckily, it's a Saturday game. So yeah, we'll look. I think when you're doing what we're doing now, we have a nearing perfect record, barring 2 draws, top of the league. We have an unbeaten record to protect. I think it's a must-win game. It's a must-win game.
Yeah.
Right. I think we have to go in. We have to be smart. We have to start strong, which we always do. That's the Arsenal speciality. We have to get the first goal. We have to protect. If we do get the first goal, protect that lead, and don't just sit back and allow the pressure. Stay on that front foot. Push their back line, and that's where I think we can excel. Challenging that back four, in my opinion, can be got at, and we've seen how it can be got at. Right. So yeah, listen, I think it's exciting. My prediction, look, I'm going to give 2 predictions. I don't normally do this, but because of the magnitude of how important Saliba is, I'm going to say with Saliba, I'm going to go 2-1 Arsenal. Without Saliba, if I'm talking about a Ben White, Tomiyasu right back, back 4, I'll probably go 1-1.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah, I think it will be a draw if Saliba isn't playing.
But that doesn't make sense because you're saying 2-1 if Saliba plays, and if Saliba doesn't play, we basically score 1 less goal.
Yes,
but we still concede 1.
Yeah, see, because the reason why that's going to happen is because if Saliba's not playing, we're going to play more defensive. Naturally, our wingers are going to track back more. Naturally, we're going to have to defend a lot more, in my opinion. Saliba enables you. He does that Van Dijk job where he enables you to go forward and he'll control that high press. And Arteta does not trust Ben White and Tomiyasu to play a high press. It doesn't work. We saw it against Man City. Look what Tomiyasu did. Gave the ball away to De Bruyne and we conceded. So
if Saliba doesn't play, who would you rather see play centre back, Ben White or Tomiyasu?
Ben White, 100%. Ben White, Tomiyasu are right back. I do not want to see Tomiyasu playing centre back because he's not very comfortable on the ball when he receives that ball to the back line. We have to be aware of that, Arteta, please. That's what I would go for. Ben White, Tomiyasu. We're not going to be able to play the high press. We're going to play a bit more defensive. There'll probably be a double pivot as well. So that's why I think if Saliba doesn't play, it actually hinders our attack because we can't be more. We can't be as free flowing. So that's why I'm going 1-1. But we'll see. We'll see, man. I think. What's your prediction?
Look, for me, I'm going to give one prediction regardless of the lineup, and I'll explain my reasoning. I think if Saliba starts, we don't concede. right? I mean, we haven't conceded in any of our 3 away games. I know they have not been as difficult. I think this is probably going to be a bigger test than all of them. Although one can argue we haven't won against Everton in like the last 4-5 years at Goodison Park, so that was obviously a very good result. I think if Saliba starts, we definitely don't concede, and I say we win probably 2-0, right? I don't think it'll be like the kind of 2-0 where we destroy them and we're completely dominating. I think they'll be having a very good game. I think maybe our second goal could come in late, or even if we get the second goal, it'll be somewhere in the second half and we just hold on. If Saliba doesn't play, well, I said I'll only give one prediction, so I'm still going to predict a win, but I think it'll probably be a 1-0 because I think you're right. I think we will be under pressure. They will try to I think we'll get the first goal. And they'll try to get the equalizer and we'll just defend and see the game out. So yeah, I don't know. For me, I'm a lot concerned about Saka not playing because if Colville plays left back, I think Saka can get at him. And I don't think we have any winger who can trouble a fullback as much as Saka. So we'll see how that goes.
I'm especially worried if Trossard is also out. Then we've got a serious problem there. Then
you see, the only reason why I'm now concerned about Trossard is because he's not going to play him on the right. I think he should because Trossard can play with both feet.
I agree.
But for some reason, Arteta doesn't move him there.
I think
he's going to play Jesus right and then Nketiah up front.
Correct. That's what I was about to say. It's going to be Martinelli. It's going to be Martinelli and Nketiah Jesus. I know that's how we're going to start.
Which is annoying. It's so annoying.
And we're going to have Saka come off, be on the bench, and he might come on half-time, depending how the game goes, or 60th minute.
I can't believe I'm saying this. I can't believe I'm saying this. If, for whatever reason, Trossard and Saka are not there, fine, play Jesus on the right, but play Havertz up front. Just don't play Nketiah. I don't think...
I think you're being harsh. I think you're really being harsh.
No, I'm not. I'm not, bro. I'm still pissed off that we sold Balogun and kept him, bro. It's so annoying, man, honestly.
Balogun was sold for different reasons. But Balogun was sold because of his demand for what he wanted as a player.
To start.
We need to understand Balogun and Nketiah's demands are very different. And Nketiah is more like, I'm happy to kind of be that guy to kind of push and fight. Balogun's like, I've just come off an amazing season in the League One, competing with Mbappe. I want to play front striker. I want to be the best, right? So it's two different the demands and requirements. But look, I think that will be my predicted lineup, right? Just to give the prediction, I think we'll go with Raya in goal. We'll go with Zinni. I think it will be Gabriel White with Tomiyasu on right back.
If Saliba doesn't play, you mean?
Yeah. I think it will be because of the way we want to start strong, and I know Chelsea's weaknesses, and Arteta knows them. I think we'll go with Rice, Fabio Vieira, and Odegaard. I don't think Partey's going to start.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
he's got to start, bro.
And then we're going to go Martinelli, Jesus. So Martinelli and Nketiah, Jesus. That's what I think the starting 11 will be. And look, mark my words. We'll see tomorrow because I know. Trust me. If Saliba's got a toe injury, Arteta doesn't play mind games with Saliba. Saliba's actually injured. That's the one I actually believe. Yeah.
So if that lineup that you predicted starts, I don't think we win this game. Even though it's Chelsea, I don't think we win.
Bro, I said this against Man City, bro. Bro, when I saw the Man City lineup and I saw Jorginho starting, right, and I saw no Saka and I saw no Partey, I was terrified. And look what happened. Right? So
no. That's disingenuous because yes, we defended well. I agree because our back four was there, so we did an amazing job, and Rice killed it that game. Yeah. But we only managed to fully control the game and score as well when Partey and Martinelli and all these guys came on.
100%.
So I hear what you're saying, but I just think I don't think we lose. I think we get a draw if that lineup starts, right? Because I still think we'll be able to have the defensive solidity. I think Fabio Vieira will do his defensive work because our players have that discipline, right, to run off the ball and stuff.
But
if he starts that lineup, we don't win. But if somehow, and I'm praying to God that our full 11 is available. Yeah, we definitely won't trash them because that's just not what we do.
You're dreaming now, Ashraf. Full 11 is just I don't think
hopefully, bro. But I think we definitely dominate. Look, we'll see tomorrow. And hopefully it's an Arsenal win because I think a big win, a win like that against a top 6 team, especially if you want to say that they're in form after beating City, is I think huge in the title race. So.
Yeah, man. Yeah, listen, morale was high. We've just come off a win against the the best team in the world, right? So
Yeah.
we have nothing to fear. That's why I think Arsenal have to go
100%.
into this game thinking we're playing a worse opposition. We're playing an opposition that struggled this season. We're playing an opposition
Yeah.
that has leaked goals as well. Well, to be fair, they've been quite good defensively, but that can be got at. So yeah, just go in there, smash it, Arsenal, man. We'll see whose prediction ends up being right, Ashraf.
Amen to that, brother. Amen to that. Souls, thank you so much for today, bro.
Thank you for
It was a
having me.
pleasure,
Thank
and
you for
we'll
having me.
definitely do a lot more streams moving forward.
Definitely.
Guys, watch out for the space. I'm gonna make sure I try to stream as much as possible every week, at least once or twice a week. Just do match previews, match reviews as well, post games. But yeah, see you guys next time. Take care.
Peace.